Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and some very exciting news for the future of Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's all been hinted the last couple of days from Dennis and also Ben earlier today, but they came out with an official statement today on the forums and on Reddit saying the following. Hey everyone, as you know, we are due to release a new version of the roadmap at the end of this month. Unfortunately, as we are still planning out our second year of content, we will not be able to have one this month. We know that many of you have had questions around this topic, and we're excited to confirm that content will continue to be released for Star Wars Battlefront 2 into 2019. As always, we thank you for your continued patience, support, feedback and enthusiasm for Star Wars Battlefront 2, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 team, which is incredibly exciting. And I also want to confirm that they're not just talking about the January and February content here, because Ben then clarified by saying, to confirm, we're talking content that is not currently listed on the roadmap, so beyond Anakin and Dooku. So this is incredibly exciting news for all of us Battlefront 2 fans, that they are continuing support in 2019. Yes, we don't know how much and for how long, but a statement like this definitely means that they have some significant stuff coming beyond that. And when Ben was also asked about when they were planning to put out this roadmap, he said the following: "We're currently working on this. I don't want to give you a time frame, as these things can change quite a bit, but I'd like us to release it before Christmas, certainly before the end of the current content we have planned." So that basically means that if we're unlucky, we might have to wait until January and February and we get that. And as you can understand, then that means that it's going to be significant content. They're not going to release a roadmap in February that has only March on it and then one patch, if you know what I mean. So I'm confident that they're referring to a significant continuation of content drop in 2019, and based on the stuff we're already getting late this year and early next year, it kind of sounds like 2019 is probably going to be a better year for Battlefront 2 than 2018 has been, based on the amount of content we've gotten so far this year. So this is of course extremely exciting news for the Battlefront community, and I think a lot of us have said this from the start, that one word that really describes this game is potential. There's a lot of unused potential. A lot of it is going to be utilized now with all the new heroes, the large-scale game mode, the squad system and everything like that, but there's still a lot more that can be done to it. Whether it's more characters like Ahsoka or Ventress or Cad Bane or Jango Fett or whoever else people might want, on top of things like private matches, and there's just a lot of things that they could do with this game. And I'm guessing that they've seen that even though this game has had a very rough year, and even though there hasn't been a lot of content around it, to be honest, it still thrived, it still survived, which probably made them realize, okay, if it survived this year, maybe we should put some more resources to it, because I don't think they intentionally wanted to kind of neglect this game for the first half of this year. Or first of all, they had to put a lot of time to the progression system, of course, but secondly, they probably took everyone over to Battlefield 5, and I mean, to one degree, I don't blame them for taking people off Battlefront to use on a new game, but it also sucks really badly. But now they haven't confirmed any new game after Battlefield 5, so hopefully next year is going to be a purely live service year for DICE, where they were going to focus only on Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5's live service, and they won't have a new project that's gonna leech all the developers, and that's why they can do this. And it's also obvious that the Battlefront community still has a pretty strong core player base, and with all of these new things, and if they continue beyond that, I'm sure they can also get a lot of new players into the game and also get some old people back. At least if they ramp up the marketing, because as of right now, this excitement and all the new stuff coming up is kind of limited to the Battlefront community. People outside still think that this is a loot box riddled pay-to-win game that hasn't changed for a year, if you know what I mean. So if they ramp up the marketing a bit and actually put in some effort to that, and all the content coming out now combined with whatever they confirm for 2019, can really give this game a big boost. But yeah, I could talk about that forever. Very exciting news indeed, but that's not all, because Dennis has been very active out on Twitter since he has taken over the DICE account. And one thing that I missed yesterday, because he posted it just as I published my video, is that he actually posted this Obi-Wan and General Grievous audio clip where they're having some banter in between each other.
The advantage is mine, Kenobi!
You'd think with 4 arms you'd have a better grasp on reality.
And then just a moment ago, he also released a second audio clip where Grievous really managed to burn Obi-Wan.
Your master really should have taught you not to be so impulsive.
The way you have with young Skywalker.
Touché.
So a quite funny one that we can probably expect to see in November when they're both on the battlefront. And I appreciate the fact that they were able to share this clip. But he's also been responding to a lot of questions, suggestions, and just said things overall on Twitter that I thought could be worth bringing up. So let's dive straight into it. So first of all, today he tweeted out saying, every 7th week at the DICE we do Sparks. For 2 straight days, all developers can work on whatever they want that can benefit the studio. The Star Wars team is exploring tech around out-of-engine balancing from spreadsheets, dual-wielding pistol tech, and tech for transformable robots. So, obviously a lot of hints in there. I'm not exactly sure what the out-of-engine balancing means, but I'm guessing it means they can do easier balancing, where they can do it maybe server-side, so they don't have patches for it. But of course, the big 2 things are dual-wielding pistol tech and tech for transformable robots. Very interesting statements. I mean, obviously, they're exploring tech around these things, so they're not saying, oh, we are working on making Droidekas. But they're exploring the tech around it, just to clarify, okay? No Droidekas confirmed, whatnot, but they're actually working on it, and they're not just planning to work on it, if that makes sense. So for dual-wielding pistol tech, well, my instant thought is Cad Bane, Jango Fett, Rex. Those 3 probably, and if they have to pick, they probably will pick Jango Fett over Cad Bane. DICE, I trust in you, please. We've seen Jango Fett a lot, give us Cad Bane instead, but I know a lot of you might disagree with me there. Nevertheless, as far as I know, DICE has actually never done any dual-wielding weapons in any of their games, so they don't really have that existing tech that many other games, like for instance Call of Duty, has. Because Battlefield has not really been a dual-wielding game, Battlefront hasn't had any dual-wield pistols, so it makes sense that they don't have the technology for that built into the engine already. So that's probably what they're going to be working on. And of course, transformable robots probably means Droidekas, because I don't know what other transformable robots they could be thinking about. Transformers maybe, but definitely a nice little hint. And if we continue, he also tweeted out saying, we're also working on a new sphere-shaped peacekeeping machine. So this is either the Death Star, maybe they're making like the trench run and taking it back from the first game, or they are actually referring to the peacekeeping machines of the Droidekas, who are also kind of sphere-shaped, at least when they're rolling around or when they have the shield up. So interpret that the way you want, but it's obvious here that he's trying to tell us roughly what they're working on, but he doesn't bring out specific words. He doesn't say Droideka, he doesn't say a hero, he doesn't say Death Star, because they probably can't. So this is the way you can get around that, which I really appreciate, because I didn't expect us to get this much news out of Dennis taking over the account, so I'm very glad about that. And then he responded in regards to giving General Grievous a cape. I'll say this, there's an animation reason for why he always has to remove his cloak before fighting. So that's quite interesting. I thought this skin in November for Grievous was gonna be the cloak, but maybe it isn't, because he is actually right about that. And when I think about it, I think he doesn't have the cape in any of the fights in the movie or the Clone Wars either. And I've heard some statements from the animators that there's a reason for that. It's simply too hard to animate that cape in the movies and also in the Clone Wars series, which means that it's probably even harder to do it in the game, considering that that's a more free space where we have control. So I hope it's a cape skin that we will be getting in November, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it's not. But in that case, I genuinely have no idea what other skin Grievous could be getting, because I feel like him with a cape or without a cape and battle damage, that's about all the different shapes we've seen him in. Oh well, we'll see in November. And nevertheless, I thought I'd bring up that statement anyways. Moving on, he was asked the following. Dennis, is it safe to say we are not getting a General Grievous trailer? I know we got images, but a trailer would help a lot more people know about it. And he just said, that doesn't seem safe to me. So it's slightly a hint towards potentially getting something with General Grievous. I don't really have my hopes up for any specific General Grievous trailer just for this month, if I'm gonna be honest, because we're getting pretty close to the release now. But I'd say it's probably more likely we'll get some type of overall Clone Wars trailer next month, when we actually have Obi-Wan and Geonosis coming out, because they can base it on Geonosis then, and on top of that they can obviously put General Grievous on there even if he's already out in the game by that time. So we'll see. Maybe, if we're lucky, we'll get a Grievous trailer now. I think it's more likely we'll get something bigger that's gonna contain more of the upcoming content. And the last thing I also wanted to bring up is that he was asked if there's any chance of us getting armor on the clone officer or not, and he said we may. So, again, just a little teaser. I think it would be really cool to get with armor an officer, because I'm not the person who mind the most. You know, I'm not someone who will rile up too much because there's no armor on the clone officers. But if I could choose, I'd probably pick a clone officer with the armor, considering they are on the battlefront, not sitting up at the bridge of the ship where you don't need armor, if that makes sense. But yeah, some very exciting news about the future of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Not super concrete, but more content beyond Anakin and Dooku. Probably significant content by the way they phrased it and how I explained it earlier in the video, because they wouldn't be saying this if they actually didn't have a roadmap for 2019. So we'll see. There might be a few months until we know specifically what we're getting. Maybe we'll get some teasers up until then, but this was all I really wanted to know as for now, because we already know all the content coming up until February, and now we know more stuff is coming beyond that. That was where the open gap was, and when we had no idea if it was going to be shut down or if it was going to continue. And I think there's a lot of things they could base their content off in 2019. Clone Wars Season 7, The Mandalorian, of course Episode 9 is coming out. Maybe Resistance, but I think all of those other three would probably take higher priority. And yeah, I'm very excited to see the future of this game and the community. And thank you all for sticking with my channel for so long. It's much appreciated. But that brings this video to an end. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.